Welcome to the state of Victoria. I've been on the road for over a month now, on my road trip from Broome in Western Australia all the way to Melbourne in Victoria. And while everything I experienced so far was totally new to me, with my trip through Victoria I will do a little trip down memory lane as I've been to this state before, exploring the beautiful Grampians National Park, the Great Ocean Road and possibly one of the coolest cities on this planet, Melbourne. So let's dive right in and explore the most southern parts of mainland Australia together.
That's it. Behind me, that's the Grampians National Park. Those mountain ranges, that's the start of the national park. And so far, the last, 6 months or so in Australia, it was all new stuff to me. But I've been here. I've been there almost 12 years ago, and it's kind of a weird feeling to see the same kind of ridgeline back again. And to now start a little chapter all the way from here to Melbourne, that is something that I've done already, and it will hopefully shake up some memories, and things that I've forgotten about will then come to life again, and I'll think of all these things that I've done on my first big trip abroad in the Grampians National Park. I'm not sure, maybe it will happen, maybe not. But first I think we have to get to the campground, and then I'll find out tomorrow when I do my first hikes if some of the things that I've done there 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago, will kind of come back to life in my head again. We'll see that. So let's jump back into the car and before the sun goes down, find the campground.
The drive into Grampians was only a little teaser of its beauty. Driving past those characteristic wave-shaped mountains left me buzzing for what was to come.
This is it. First hike of the day, pinnacle via Grand Canyon. First hike in the Grampians National Park, and I'm super excited because there's some things here that I recognize and slowly come back into my head since I've been here before. I think the hike that I'm doing today I haven't done before, but there's this lookout hike, this other one, Baruka Lookout or something. I saw photos of it and I was like, yes, this is what I've done last time. So we're starting with one that is about 9 kilometers return. Not too bad. Yeah, I'm really excited, so let's get into the woods and climb up that mountain to see the pinnacle lookout.
As so many of these mountain hikes, the start of the trek was an easy, constant incline. Nothing to get out of breath over, but also nothing overly exciting. Until...
Oh yes. You can tell me whatever you want, but there's something about mountain hikes where you get into an elevated position that's so much better than any beach walk. I'll take this over a beach walk pretty much every freaking day. Oh, look at this. This looks so freaking good. I love this. Whew, let's keep going. Let's move on to the next one. Off to more beautiful views.
A bone-crushing and stair-filled 500 meters higher up, the views really started to unfold.
All right. I think we just came across the next awesome viewpoint. Ah, sick. Oh, freaking love this place. Wow. But there's always a little downside. Somebody just left a water bottle. Why, people? Why do humans do that? Like, why do they always have to destroy the beauty that lies in nature, in like kind of untouched nature? I mean, this is not untouched, but you don't need to leave your freaking water bottle everywhere. Okay, enough rambling. Let's keep going because we're not there yet. We want to find the place with the best views where we can get the drone up. I'm so excited. It's gonna be so good. And then we're here. What the actual fuck?
I lost myself in the incredible sight before me. And as so often, high up on a mountain peak, that one feeling washed over me once again. A feeling of detachment from all things, from the worries and fears that never truly leave you, even when traveling. I had become addicted to this feeling, addicted to creating these rare moments over and over again. Just me, the wind and the silence. No joke, I was literally just thinking that I haven't really seen any echidnas apart from in the car, and then I walk right past one. Is it actually trying to get away from me, or is it looking for food? Yeah, that's an echidna. Oh, how cool is this? I love this. The way down, I took the actual canyon route, which I managed to miss on the way up somehow. While the track itself was definitely more interesting to walk, you do miss out on the big views, which I was okay with as I knew there was more to come. So I thought about doing another hike today, but I'm actually so tired, like it took a lot from me, much more than I expected. So instead I'm going to Mackenzie Falls, which is another one of these stunning sights that you can do here in Grampians Park, and it's only about 500 meters from the car park to get there. And I might just really hang out there for a little while and not do anything, just listen to a podcast or something, because I can't do another hike and I've got a big one planned for tomorrow. So let's just chill out at Mackenzie Falls. A new day, same old sweaty ass hiking shirt though. This is because it's another hike today to Mount Rosea, and I've teamed up with fellow German Dominic, just behind me. And we met yesterday at Mackenzie Falls, a couple of other people as well, and then had a really good night at campground, resulting in me being a bit hungover today. And we're doing Mount Rosea, as I said, which on all trails it says it's a hard hike, and so far it's really enjoyable. It's probably a bit on the harder side, but it's not as bad as I feared when reading through the reviews, when people say, oh, plenty of water and it's so tough and you need to have good joints and stuff. It's actually quite nice. Hey, how you going? Oh,
hey.
How's it up there?
Yeah, really good.
Good?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
That was actually the first person we met on our way up. And yeah, it's quite enjoyable. Quite a diverse kind of hike. Started off with this kind of boring pathway, and now it's just kind of scrambling over rocks. Really good views in between. So very nice. Looking forward to get up there. So here, just trying to save my breath to get up there. So let's see how this all unfolds. Really excited, so let's go. So we made it up to the first viewpoint. That is pretty insane. Also pretty steep, so you don't want to fall down there, but so good. Like all these pinnacles here, and then you have this awesome view over that lake, and then the end of the national park. That's bloody great, and we're not even at the top yet, I reckon. The trek up to the top of Mount Rosea is simply stunning, boasting amazing views and filled with ever-changing and challenging terrain. Looks like we're almost there, almost finished, or not finished, but at the top. But I thought this probably 3 times already, where I saw a cliff and thought this was going to be the pinnacle. But this one looks like it is eventually the top. But first we gotta get
up there.
And then, after a good 3 hours, we had made it. And just like the day before, the reward was waiting for us in the form of a breathtaking view and the feeling of being as free as one could possibly be. As it was a loop trek, the way down was different to the way up. However, going down the way we came would have been the more scenic option in hindsight.
That was it. That was the hike for today, and that also means it's time to leave the Grampians National Park. It's been pretty amazing, 2 really good days, but also I need to look at the time. I need to look at when I need to be in Melbourne, and there's so many things that I still want to do that there's no more time for Grampians, and I'm actually fine with that. 2 nights here, 2 really good days, good hikes, good views, all awesome. So if you're in the area, definitely do Grampians. Most of the people who do the Great Ocean Road do the Grampians anyways, but I hope some of the people watching this might probably be convinced now to actually put that on their bucket list. Next thing for today will be driving to Dunkeld, something like that, because they have free hot showers and that is much needed. And after the free hot showers, we're going past Warrnambool, and in Warrnambool, I'll go and stock a few things up at Coles, and then we do the 12 Apostles and everything that's along the Great Ocean Road. So that's going to be interesting too. Got to get into the car and speed up the process so that when we finally get there, there's still some daylight left. So let's hop into the car and go.
Filled with the best memories of this place, I left the Grampians, and after some quick, not noteworthy admin stops, it was time to enjoy some of the Great Ocean Road magic, with the first stop being the Bay of Islands. The limestone cliffs are constantly subject to erosion, and thus the landscape is ever changing. Of course, this is nothing you would notice as a one-time visitor. What you'll notice, however, is the spectacular play of colours of both ocean and cliffs. As sun was setting, it was time to quickly drive over to the big one, the 12 Apostles. Wrapped in the gentle gold of the sunset, the 12 Apostles were just as spectacular as I remembered, perhaps even more so.
Sometimes I can, but I want to say I'm probably better in understanding Dutch than Swiss German. Like if Swiss Germans really do the whole Swiss German thing, like between each other, I'm like, no idea. Like another day in Victoria, and we left the Grampians National Park yesterday and drove along the Great Ocean Road, did the 12 Apostles, did Bay of Islands, all in a bit of a rush because the sun was going down. It was still absolutely amazing. The light was like, it was this like kind of golden hour vibe that was really good. The weather is absolutely ass today, so it's all rainy and stuff. And now we're in the Great Otway National Park and we're doing a treetop walk. In fact, before we do the treetop walk, we're here in this little section that they call the Enchanted Forest, and there's little figures and like things just like dropped everywhere like this. Watch this one. And it's so weird. It's like all these little plastic statues, and there's dragons, and then there's horses and unicorns and whatever, and they're all dotted around this forest, which by the way is one of these very rare tempered rainforests, so it's like very humid, but it's also very cold most of the time, and that is what you find at the west coast of the New Zealand South Island as well. It's not necessarily always pleasant, but it's really interesting to go through.
The treetop walk was just a really good way to have a look at the rainforest from a different angle, and all of this at a pretty fair price. Luckily, we just finished in time before it started raining.
Are you smelling the thing? It is beautiful, yeah. Very much. What fucking hell? Yeah. So we're done with the treetop walk now, and now we're at the Triplet Falls, or on the way to the Triplet Falls, which is just a couple of minutes drive from the treetop walk. And the weather's still freaking atrocious. But walking through this forest, which is like cold and wet, and so it looks so primeval, it's really cool. Like something so different, and you wonder how landscape can change so much in between 200 kilometers that we've driven since we left Grampians, which is very different climate, different trees and everything, and now walking through this here, just insane. No. It feels like you've just traveled back in time, you know, like we started at like 2024 and now we're at, I don't know, a million years before that.
24,000 species.
Yeah, literally.
And then it was time for us to split up and going our separate ways, with me staying in the park for one last bushwalk.
So the next and probably last thing I do in the park today is the Busham Falls track, loop track. Probably a loop track, probably not. Whatever, it's about 2.5 kilometers and it ends at the Busham Falls. And it seems to be that this is or was kind of a very popular kind of day use area here, like picnic area. So we're walking down there, check out the Busham Falls, walking through this bloody prehistoric forest. Like it's insane. It feels like I left my car up there, I left the 21st century up there, and now I'm just walking through something where I'm just expecting some dinosaur just coming past. It's crazy and it looks so beautiful, really.
I took a moment to soak in this magic and be grateful for the opportunity to see and experience all these things.
Alright, time to leave Great Otway, I'm not sure, National Park. It was a really good time, it's a really good place. If you're on the Great Ocean Road and you've done 12 Apostles and all these things, definitely come here as well. It's not really a detour, it's pretty much almost part of the Great Ocean Road. It's between 12 Apostles and Geelong. So yeah, just come over, have a day or two or so or whatever in the national park here. It is beautiful. There's a couple of campsites. You have the most amazing walks here. Going through those forests, been really good, and I'm really just trying to escape the cold weather for now. And also I'm on a bit of a tight schedule, so I thought, okay, rather than kind of forcing myself to stay one more night here, just head over to Ballarat because I wanted to do that anyways just before I finally go into Melbourne. So let's fire the car up and get to the campground. It's about an hour's drive. See you later. Good morning, it's another day in Victoria and I'm currently in Ballarat. Ballarat has a huge open air museum, and this is because in the 1850s this city, which is about 200 kilometers or so northwest of Melbourne, played a big role in the whole gold rush that was going on in Victoria, and they decided to keep some of the buildings or rebuild some of the buildings from 1850s and turn it into a huge open air museum. And that is definitely one of the biggest tourist attractions here, and people from Melbourne come over to see this for a day and stuff. And I'm doing this today and I'm excited to do that. The only thing is I have to wait until my rooftop tent is dried up because it was super wet and super cold last night, like 7 degrees this morning when I woke up, and everything was just like full of moisture. So I've got to wait until this is done, and then we're heading off to Ballarat to see the open air museum.
Characters an hour. would probably take me 6 to 8 days to set that up. But yeah.
Watch your heads when you get in, guys. Alright, well welcome to the 1800s. Ballarat. There was no Ballarat, right, prior to the discovery of gold. The entire reason there's a city called Ballarat, which is an Aboriginal word, or 2 words actually, Ballarat, right, which means resting place.
I loved my time out in the museum, being rather surprised by the size of the place and the attention to detail that I found here, giving really interesting insights into the life in a 1850s mining town.
It is so peaceful here. So I left Ballarat yesterday after actually spending some more days there than I've actually planned. And then I left and I got to this place. It's my little camp for tonight and I guess for tomorrow night as well. And there's a couple of hikes that you can do here. I don't know if it's any good. I just checked all trails. I just wanted to get somewhere where probably there's a bit more nature and things like that. And the place I'm in now, Blackwood Camp it's called, it's just this little, there's nothing else but this, right? There would probably be space for a couple of more camper vans if they're small. But yeah, it's by this pond. And it feels so remote. Like I got here yesterday and there's total silence. There's no road here, nothing. And there's a whole bunch of cockatoos. Different ones, like the big white ones and then small black ones with a red head. And they come here to drink, and then there's a couple of ducks, and there was so much going on. I could hear koalas kind of shouting, howling. I don't know how you call the sound of koalas, but if you never heard of it, Google it, because I couldn't film it because I was asleep pretty much, or almost. Google the sound of koalas and it's terrifying. It's really deep. It sounds like it's wild boars or something. So there's definitely koalas in these woods too. Maybe I find some today when I go hiking. I'm getting the tent packed down and then drive to a starting point of the first hike I'm going to be doing today. And to be honest, I don't even know which one it's going to be. So I'll put all trails up and see which hike is the best, and then do a nice hike, maybe even 2 today, depends on how long they take, and then come back for one last night here in peace and quietness out in the bushes.
I did the Lörderder Gorge circuit, which, once you're past the very busy first section, becomes this beautiful, almost empty track for just a little while, until you face an absolute crushing and super steep incline when going anti-clockwise.
There's some heavy breathing part. I'm actually really glad I did it anti-clockwise. This thing down on my shoes with the bit of tread that I have, no chance. It was tough. It's actual tough, like I had to use my hands and stuff like that. So I came all the way from down there. I think I probably reached a bit of a shallower part now. There's more people up there. So they're just about to face this climb that I did up. Downwards. Insane. Like, I think it's not nice because there's so much scrambling. It's one thing if you have to kind of climb over actual boulders, or you're on this surface which is kind of really loose, so you can like slip easily. At the same time, it's really steep, so you never really have any reassurance that the next step you do is gonna stay, that you're gonna stay where you are on the next step you do. But look at this. That's good stuff. That's pretty nice. And again, we're only, what, 40 minutes out of Melbourne. And you get this.
After some more tough scrambling, I eventually reached the top, being much sweatier and much more exhausted than I had anticipated when starting this hike. The views weren't as spectacular as some others I had seen before. However, it still got me really emotional.
That over there, not sure if the camera picks it up, there is Melbourne skyline. Which is kind of weird to see because this is the end point of this road trip that started about 8 weeks ago at pretty much the other end of Australia. And I've come a long way. Seen a lot of things, like starting in Broome, going inland via Newman, and then back to Perth, doing things around Perth, and then going to Wave Rock, and then having some awesome days in Esperance, and then doing the Nullarbor, Adelaide, and going along the coast, doing the Grampians, and then now here, like, yeah, it's been 8 pretty impressive weeks. Seen so many cool things. And this over there, just pretty much in reach, like within 30 minutes probably drive or so, or an hour drive. That's where it all ends. Well, not it all ends, but this is where this road trip ends. So yeah, kind of a weird feeling. When I saw it in the car, when I saw the skyline for the first time in the car, I got a bit sentimental because I knew that there was a certain chapter was ending. It's ending right now, and it also means once I leave Melbourne and I'm away for a little bit of time and I come back to Australia, that there's only so much time for me left in Australia before I have to leave the country, at least on the visa that I'm on now. But anyways, not trying to get myself dragged down by this. First thing we have to do before we even can think of getting to Melbourne at some point is getting down this hill.
And then it was time to change the Lonesome Rider road trip life for proper big city vibes in Melbourne. And it's safe to say this city deserves an own video, and I had planned to make one. However, the weeks of fast-paced travels took their toll eventually, and I ended up being sick and losing my voice for the majority of the days I had there. But in true cheapskate fashion, I will of course name some of the plenty of amazing things you can do when visiting Melbourne on a budget. First up, of course, the amazing Botanic Gardens, which invite you to endlessly stroll around and relax while looking at the skyline. There are plenty of museums like the Melbourne Museum or the National Gallery of Victoria, which are either pretty cheap or even for free. There's the Queen Victoria Market, which is an absolute heaven for foodies and those who like to bring some quirky souvenirs from their trip. There's Chinatown with its red lanterns and an abundance of Asian food choices. Simply just walking around between CBD and the areas like Brunswick and Fitzroy will already keep you busy for a day or two. I know, I only scratched the surface of what Melbourne offers, but it was still a worthy ending to this incredible journey through the beauty that is Victoria. But every chapter eventually comes to an end, and I was quite ready to leave Australia for a little while and buzzing for what was to come.
I've got this day and this day only to explore mainland Bali before tomorrow morning I'll take the ferry over to Nusa Lembongan, where I'm going to be staying a week.